morning, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, aka Luke. I'm your host this evening. I am a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. Means we do a little bit of everything here, from unboxing printers such as a Bamboo Lab or Prusa Mark IV to doing mods, upgrades, and full up printer builds like most of the printers you see behind me, whether it be an Annex Engineering K3 or on 2.4 or on Trident, the VzBot that's sitting right in front of me. We do some prototyping, such as our 0G Mercury 1 back here that's still under a closed beta. And we just enjoy ourselves, do everything 3D printing. Even do some helmets. We've got a droid build that we're doing between now and 3D Printopia at the end of December. So got quite a few things that are going on. Welcome on in, everybody. Hope everybody's doing great this evening. So tonight is going to be kind of just another wrap-up, chat and chill type of stream. The VzBot is put together. We got all of the panels on. We got the front doors on over here. Hey, Sebastian, how's it going? So we got the side panels put on. We got our front door panels put on. I'm apparently still working on setting the gap on the little front door stopper piece here. The RSCS, so the remote static cooling system, so the two big fans on either side, they're mounted in there, but they're not wired up yet. I still need to do the wire connectors on there. I'm going to use Microfit 3 connectors versus the JSTs that it comes with, and make a connection to the back panel. That way, if I ever need to take a panel off to do some maintenance, I can undo the panel, lean it back, undo the Microfit connector, set the panel off to the side, and not have to worry about having wires running all the way through the back panel. So that's the plan there. Currently, you'll see here on the side, the cable that comes out from the side. I really want to do something to clean this up and kind of protect it a little bit more. And I did just see that Steve Peterson had little VHB clips, because right now this is just hanging free underneath. So my options are, I could do the easy way and just grab some blue painter's tape and tape it up to the bottom, or I can do some printed 3D or some 3D printed clips that the cable can slide into. We can just VHB tape it to the bottom deck panel. I think that will be a little bit cleaner. One of the other things I'll talk about, and sorry, my nose is going a little bit. I just took some allergy meds, and I think part of it's because I've been doing some ABS printing with this today, and there is zero filtration back here. Deal with that tonight. But you'll notice as I go to open the door, I'm barely catching on the top piece here. I can flex the door or lift it up some and get it past. What I'm going to do is, there are some 3D printed spacers between the little rubber feet and these nanotube gray foot pieces. These are not physically sitting on the ground or on the table. Let me find something I can shove underneath there and show you guys. Right, so these are not physically sitting or touching the table. There is a rubber foot underneath here. So what we can do is, the rubber feet, I can just reprint that spacer, maybe add another millimeter and a half to it, and that'll raise this up enough that I can angle this out just a tiny bit more and get rid of that catch on either side, which will make opening the doors a little bit easier. So welcome on in, Roddy Mac. Nick, how's it going? Welcome in. Hey. Oh yeah, by the way, Um, you guys may have seen it. Um, if you're a Twitch streamer, you would have known this, or if you use Stream Elements. Stream Elements is going to close its online shop. So between now and the end of the month, you should be able to go online still and buy any Digital Dragon merch from the store, and Stream Elements will have it made and delivered. After that, we're going to switch to Fourth Wall. So Fourth Wall, they're not porting my design straight over to Fourth Wall. I have to re-upload and recreate them, and it's going to be a slog. And this particular design right here, I only have a PNG file. It's not a good quality PNG file. So I'm going to have to possibly do a redesign. And I'm thinking of redesigning anyhow, and going away from just my handle, which is Digital Dragon 72, to something else. The dragon's going to stick around in some form or fashion. The coffee cups are already over on Fourth Wall with the Digital Dragon logo. I just don't have the tag in there because they don't have the same fonts, and I haven't quite figured out. I have to make a logo complete with the text and upload that. There is no adding text box to it. So if you want what I will call the Legacy Digital Dragon logo, go get it now while you still can. Tonight we're drinking some Black Rifle Coffee Company. What is this? This is Blackbeard. It's a dark roast. Drinking out of our Photos Mint cup. While we're waiting for Miss Dragon to bring us our standard Dunkin'. She's out making a run right now. Yeah, we have been printing. I've printed several things, some test prints out on this. I have been printing some ABS. This is printed in Galaxy Black ABS, and I'm probably gonna have to do something to get a white background behind it. 1 second. I figured this goes along with the theme. So I just made a little wall art sign that I could probably put up on the counter, or behind the coffee maker. Will let me say how much we love coffee here in the Dragon Den. So yeah, I was playing around printing with this. I figured I would try and do a flow test to see, I don't know, how fast we can push it, how hard we can push this Goliath hot end. So that will be the plan for this evening. In fact, I think do the max flow rate, which is our little racetrack. See how high we can get it to go. Oh, let me try. New project. There we go. Anything. Just love when it makes changes and actually tell you or show you about. calibration, max flow rate test, gives us a racetrack pattern. I'm going to go ahead and say upload and print. So yeah, we are going to be printing with this. This is going to be printed with ABS. So we are going to try and, as we start going in flow, we're going to make sure that we ramp up the tip a little bit. So how's everybody doing this evening? How is everybody doing? I did order some filtration material for the rear here. I think it's basically if you use a 5-inch by 5-inch square fume extractor filter, you basically can cut it in half and use that. But one thing that I wanted to check real fast is whether or not the Bamboo Labs filters fit in here. That would fit in there, but not very nice or cleanly. That's not going to work. So I did go ahead and buy a few of these extra filters. I've been doing a lot of ABS print. And oh, by the way, folks, when you go to print with your Bamboo and you've got filament loaded in your AMS, pick the right filament. I mean, I was good in the fact that it did print in ABS, but this right here is just a spare build plate holder for the Bamboo, and I was trying to print it in the Nano Tube Gray ABS. Apparently, I didn't change it from its default, which was lane 2 to lane 4. So this got printed in ABS, either ABS glass fill or ABS, I think it's ABS carbon fiber actually. I mean, it came out beautiful. But it's kind of a little bit more expensive material than what was needed for this. This is kind of an offset fitting one, so you can tell what kind of plates you're putting in there. I mean, the textured PEI is going to be easy enough to tell, but if you're also running numerous other sheets, it might be easy to tell right off the bat which kind you're using and which one you're not. So, yeah. Build plate just slides right down in there and you'd have all 4. And because each one's offset, you'll be able to see the build plate type that's listed there. Set it in there. I guess this. Everybody's kind of quiet today. What's going on with everybody? What's everybody up to? Hopefully we don't have like a huge delay going. Not seeing a delay. Hopefully everybody's week's going well. I mean, it's Thursday. We're almost done with the week. Now, I was thinking about putting in one of these pre-filters that I have that I know is a carbon filter. Um, but I'm not sure how this carbon is created. So it shouldn't matter because it's not recirculating, right? It's been cutting grass. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, it's hot outside. I have not been cutting grass because actually we did that what, last weekend. So it's coming due. It is definitely coming due. But yeah. Um, but we should be able to cut this material down and stack it in there. I was going to be hesitant because I know that some carbon fiber materials can cause your things to rust if it's a activated or chlorine type. Hey Pez Luz, how's it going? 15 days. Thanks, Pez. Thanks. Nothing like thank you. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this down. When my other material comes in, like I said, it's designed for like solder stations. So we should be good there. Um, and we'll cut that and put it in there. Because this is an exhaust only setup, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Like if you're doing, if you were doing a recirculating one, that's where I think you'd have to worry about it a little bit more. But since this is an exhaust only, I think we should be good. If I do decide down the road to add like a bento box or a Nevermore into this, then I would definitely make sure to be using a higher quality um, filtration material. But as it stands, just a couple of sheets of this charcoal pre-filter for my homes. And that should give us at least some filtration when we, because what we'll do is we'll set this up so that at the end of the ABS print, it extracts the air. I don't want to have it blowing the whole time because it may pull too much airflow and actually pull the print down, cause issues. But we want to keep the temperature up in the chamber. So make sure to keep our chamber temperature up. So how you doing today, Pezliz? 15 days. Are you ready? How you doing, Royal Nomi? Welcome on in. I hope everyone's almost ready for Midwest Rep Rat Festival. So right now, what we're doing is we're running a flow test, and this is going to start off a little slower, then start ramping up. And what we're trying to do is see how fast we can push plastic using this particular hot end and extruder combo. before we start getting a skipping extruder and poor quality. And what this particular test tells you is, well, how fast you can print with a particular type of material at a particular temperature or nozzle size. We were commenting on this a little bit earlier where somebody had asked about oh darn it, print quality and printing with carbon fiber or glass filled materials, and if you have to change your settings. Normally, I have found when printing with glass filled material or carbon fiber materials that I haven't had to change much, right? Whatever my standard settings for that material are pretty good. But on a 0.4 nozzle, which is what this is, as you're trying to print a filled material, glass or carbon fiber, or even a heavy fleck, if you got it like a metallic or like a galaxy type, that you can clog easier if you're printing really fast because you're not getting the material fully molten, or because you've got additional additives in the material. And it looks like we have an ad break that just started, so I'll hold off on the rest of that discussion for a minute or so. Hey, Glendon, welcome on in. Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm confused because I responded to you. But what did I do with my phone after I... Oh, there we go. Oh, that's because I responded to you on my watch after I heard you come in. Did you happen to pick it up? Oh, I'm sorry. But thank you. Okay, so we've got the Dunkin' refills. Majority of it fits in here, and what's left gets to stay in here. Fast. Hey, how's it going, Timor? In fact, let me switch over to browser. Browser set up over here. Browser. Browser. Action going on here. So once again, this is a max flow test. Right now, we're printing at a calculated flow rate of 12.9 millimeters cubed per second. So we're doing a full nozzle width, so 0.5 on the nozzle width, half the nozzle height, so 0.25 millimeter layer height. And we're printing at 44 millimeters per second right now because it's trying to calculate to the flow rate. I set the test to go between 10 and 50. So it will start speeding up as it goes around to make each layer a little bit higher in the flow rate. And if not, then I will flip it over onto a test that I ran using the Vez's VZ flow rate. And yeah, I had it printing at like 450 millimeters a second. So 450 millimeters a second at, I think, 10,000 max acceleration. We can print that again just to show you that it goes burr real fast. But where you see some rough artifacts, this is on the front. If I dig into this a bit, you'll start seeing where we're getting some really crappy surface layer. So it's obviously still a pretty strong print, right, to have it opened up that much. But this is at 2 walls, and like I said, it's just I don't know if that's a bad cooling. I don't know why it does that, but it was definitely a bad surface. So, but that's why you test, is to kind of see how fast you can push your system if you need to do a print. Like, I don't know, if you're at 3D Printopia, somebody broke a piece of their Death Racer and you're trying to reprint it for them, but apparently 3D Printopia, they physically power the entire arena down at night. So when they say time to go, they don't just mean time to go. They shut the power off and force you out. So there's no overnight printing if you're trying to get a part replaced. You're just SOL. So how's it going, Nomi? Welcome in. We are just printing here in the screen, like, I don't know, goes into a power save mode or whatever. But we do have Clipper screen running, works just fine. Everything has been printing, or everything has been working great. The PTFE tube kind of drags and hangs a little bit over on the side. That's the only issue I've had so far, is with the PTFE tube coming in. Yeah, and the PTFE tube can come in either side of the printer, and there are some pretty big, we'll say, holes or gaps in the printer. I may see I think I've seen somebody that's got covers over these back ports that you would use if you need to work on the rear motors, and you can adjust the rear pulleys and stuff. So once you've done that, you need to kind of cover up these holes. Otherwise, you got these big holes that are just letting air out. So trying to keep a chamber temp hot is kind of hard. The other thing I noticed with this kit, the panels are flat mounted with there was no call out or requirement for any type of like foam tape. So I may still wind up taking these off and putting foam tape on the back of all the panels. On an open box Ender 5 Plus, I like to do build prior to converting this printer to a Merc 0G. Nice, Timor. I will tell you that I love my Ender 5 Plus after I converted it to a 0G Merc. Now, I will tell you, unless you've got a good reason to do it, the Ender 5 Plus uses the same or a very similar bed system to this, right? This is a single Z with a belted Z to keep the sync between the two sides. On Ender 5 Plus, it's independent motors. I think they're plugged in parallel to the same drivers, so you can't do Z tilt adjust with it unless you swap up to like a Manta board or something like that. But even still, the basic Ender 5 Plus bed system for me was rock solid. I never had to change it, never had to fiddle with it. I went with a Hydra bed on that just because I could. Didn't need to. But going to the Core XY top, the Mercury upgrade on it, is definitely worth the money and the time. Yeah, I was pretty impressed with the BiQ. I think I've got the H2 Revo on the one printer and the H2 V2S, was it the Lite on the Ender XY, or the Ender XY. Um, which, by the way, um, so we've got Kyber down here. The Ender XY is in the corner. That's going to come out. Fey Dragon may go down in the bottom corner, and the VzBot may go here where Fey Dragon's at. Just because this is going to go to Midwest. The Annex K3 is going to Midwest, so I don't want to put them down there and have to keep bending over and picking them up from the low spot. So I think I'm going to take the Fey Dragon. Fey Dragon will go down on the bottom as well. And the VzBot will go up the top here. And that's the nice thing with, oh, by the way, I printed some name tags. These name tags, I found an OpenSCAD file. The holes on the side, I probably should have went without the holes because they get, when I scale these. So once I get them done in OpenSCAD, and then I bring them into the slicer, and then I scale them so they're 200 millimeters wide, 20 millimeters tall. Once I get them into Orca Slicer, and I got it set up for the filament change at layer height, I then went and created three. So you right click on it and you say negative part cylinder. And I created 3 cylinders at 8.1 by 8.1 by 3.6 millimeter. Now when you do that, it moves it from the top, not from the bottom. So you then have to take and click on move and move the Z to 0 to bring it to the build plate. Then you right click and say center. And then I went 6 to the left, 6 arrows to the left, create a second one, centered it, 6 arrows to the right, create a third one, centered it. And then I had pockets, whoops. And then I had pockets for some, these are 8 millimeter by 3 millimeter magnets. Now I know I said 3.6 millimeter on the diameter or on the depth of these negative spaces, but for whatever reason they come out to about 2, which is just fine because it leaves these proud a little bit, which works well. If you get these flush and you're doing a textured painted surface, you'll have some issues, but you can hear that. So these work well, and if I ever need to, I can probably break these back out because they're not all the way flush. It'd be easier to break these out or drill right next to them and then pry them out and redo them if I ever get rid of a printer. But I've got name tags printed for the majority of the printers. And eventually, once I get this cleared out, the Kyber Dragon is going to go underneath the Kyber Dragon like the Fey Dragon is here. We've got Death Dragon, Dragon Spawn, Dragoon 1, and Dragoon 2. So, yeah, we went ahead and got our names done. You're all set to go with Hydra. Hey, like I said, the Hydra works great. I was just going to say the nice thing about the 0G system is you can do the Merc build and get all the benefits of Core XY without having to do anything to the bed. And then you can do the second upgrade, which is the bed. So you can kind of do like a phased upgrade. How's that Goliath? Well, right now we're printing at 20 millimeters cubed per second. at 65 millimeters per second. But we're printing full width, so this is a 0.5 nozzle, so our wall is 0.5 wide, 0.25 millimeter layer heights, and I have it set to try and go all the way up to 50, so we'll see. But so far, yeah, the Goliath's doing good. And mind you, this is printing at a basic 250. When I was testing the Next G, this is ABS, why we got the door shut. But we were testing, or I did my test at 270, 280, and 290 for ABS using the Next G nozzle. And yeah, I was getting pretty close to 50 millimeters cubed out of that on a 0.6 nozzle. So far it's doing good. It's printing really well. I did overrun it earlier when I was trying to run it at 500 millimeters a second, like print speed. I did kind of overrun the nozzle. You're looking for a Mic 6 bed. Because I do have a Mic 6 on mine. Crud. I think Fabrico gets them in, or you can get them off of AliExpress. I think there was somebody on Ali that had it. Ender 5 plus bed, not net. Yeah, there's a couple of people that you can get them from. Mandala Roseworks has them because they'll make just about any size bed. And I want to say I got mine off of AliExpress, and Fabrico has them. So I'd have to look at my purchase history. I have a feeling I got it from Fabrico. Yeah, so Fabrico has so they've got the 370 by 377 by 370 that will work with Hydra or stock. If you want to go with the 400 by 400, it's only Hydra. So yeah, you can get it from Fabrico, and it's about $120. And if you tell Hector I sent you, I don't know if he'll do anything for you or not. Who knows? I don't have an affiliate code or anything. Yeah, so right now our numbers are there. Let me that full size, and then we'll jump over to the full display. That's the right camera down there in the bottom right. So we're at 22.2 on the flow right now. And once again, we're printing at 250. And printing ABS, trying to go fast. Like I said, I have no problem kicking the temps up if I need to. I'm normally printing at 270 anyhow. This is just the generic ABS profile in Orca Slicer for the VzBot. I haven't really tweaked much of anything on a profile yet. But yeah, you can get the beds. I'm not sure if the beds. Okay, and that was 120 for the bed without the silicone heater, so you'd still have to get an edge-to-edge heater. There was also a link for one out to Ollie. That one looks like you can get I think that comes with bed and bed, heater, and PEI flex plate for 158. So yeah, that looks like that's 160 off of Ollie for the whole shebang. So mic stick bed, PEI sheet, magnetic sheet, and the silicone heater. So you go through Ollie, you can probably get everything a little bit cheaper. You know, and quite honestly, the PEI sheet here, it works. It's doing good, but it doesn't feel like a lot of the other beds that I'm used to using lately. So I may wind up getting a different PEI flex plate for this. But yeah, when we're done here, I'll kick off a different flow test that I printed earlier. And quite honestly, I think that was at the standard 250 as well. So if I crank up the heat on that test, it would probably work out a little bit better as well, flow rate wise and print quality wise. So Zombie, I keep seeing your Doron Velta build. That's looking pretty good. Seems to be doing some pretty nice prints. I need to come up with a good thing to print on this and probably reach over there and grab that Ambrosia. What is this? What is the name of this filament? Ambrosia Galactic Midnight Meteorite. Their Sparkle ASA. Yeah, I probably need to go and print something with that. Or maybe the one roll of British Racing Green ASA that I have from Sparta 3D. But yeah, I think I have all the extrusion. I just need to cut it to go ahead and make Doron Velta. So I think I'm going to probably do one of those. I'm not sure if I'll build it on stream or not, or just build it. I know I'm going to move a couple of printers around behind me, and the Ender XY is going to sit on the floor, and we'll bring Black Box back up here onto the workbench. So we'll have Black Box up here. Switch over this way. We'll have Black Box up here on the workbench Saturday, and he'll stay up here, and we'll start doing the same thing we did for the VzBot. And all of the streams between now and Murph will be on Black Box and just going through the commissioning guide, getting all of the tool heads calibrated, PID tuning everything. Because I can PID tune the bed. I could probably do the basic calibration, but at some point I'm going to have to put heat to the tool heads. And when I go to do that, I have to put water in it. And as soon as I fill that water tank up, that printer's not moving from this table until it's going to Midwest. So, the owner Bridgeport have not run it in a couple years, might try to machine one. In the back of my mind, there was an issue with Bridgeport fixing BPs and not exactly. They are great pieces of equipment. I've been, believe it or not, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on Bridgeports and both milling machines, lathes, both like desktop, tabletop lathes and the full big suckers. Not that I'm going to have a big machine shop. It was just really, I was looking for machining videos for the Millennium Mill. Trying to learn like, okay, some basics of machining. I've got a CNC, so I understand kind of some of the basics of CNC and speed and feeds, but you're not doing a lot of aluminum on a Shapeoko 3. And if you are, you're going to go out and get a HTZ. And at this point, if I'm going to spend the money on an HTZ, I may sell my Shapeoko 3 and go get like one of their 4 Pros or something that's already got, you know, it comes with all the linear rails and the HTZ rather than trying to upgrade what I've got. And that's why I was doing the Millennium Mills Milo, was so that I can get something and start making, you know, maybe some parts like these, bracketry and stuff like that for upgrading my printer. Because as long as I have a CAD file, I can go and print the, or not print, I can go and cut aluminum for, you know, doing aluminum, you know, all metal mod upgrades to a Voron or a 0G or what have you. So, yeah, that's been a thought process I had there of being able to do some of my own upgrades. And so speaking of the Milo, we've got all of the parts printed. I think, so in here I did a 2-color. I think I'm going to go ahead and print the insert that you can glue inside this. I think it'll look a little bit better than the way this came out. But, you know, we're doing the, this is the ASA glass filled from Fetus, and this is ABS glass filled. I think this is the ABS glass filled 25% for the black. And these are pretty hefty because they were all printed at 50% infill. And I think it was something like, what was it, 6 walls and 12 top and bottom layers. So these are pretty hefty chunkus parts. But then again, after lifting up my 80 millimeter spindle, they need to be heavy, chunky parts. But all of these came out really good. I'm really liking the way that these printed. All of these printed on the bamboo, by the way. So very nice prints, very nice overhangs. Like I said, all of these parts printed off on the bamboo. So I've got all the parts here, and pretty soon, this is great. So this is the ballast box that goes in the Z axis. So you can do it like this and not fill it with anything. You can do it like this and fill it with like lead shot, like we did the ballast on the the black box, or I've seen people take this and fill it with the the epoxy granite, or you can just do away with this altogether and fill the extrusions directly with epoxy granite. Kind of up to you on how much you want to go and do there. But we got all the parts for Mellow printed so that when we get back from Murph, we can start the Mellow build. At some point, once Chris gets black stack done, we will be building a black stack, and kind of over here in this area, this table will move over some, and we'll have black stack and the black box right here. It's going to make it fun to get to the printers over here, but we'll make that work still. Let's see, we're up to 34. And though I'm doing Galaxy ABS, it's still printing pretty good. I do have a camera on order for this. It should be here tomorrow. So I need to print the case for the camera that I ordered. And then I've also ordered some light strips. Now, the light strips that they called out for are like, they're off of AliExpress. They are 12-volt, like waterproof LED strips that you can put like in your car or under your car. So I ordered a couple of those to add lights along the top. I have 3 printed pieces, so 1 on each side and 1 on the front. So we're going to work that out and get a camera on this and some lights. Because, well, why not lights? And looking at this and how it's already starting to bar the top acrylic, there is a top hat that raises this up some. I may wind up printing that just to add some height. It doesn't interfere with the handles, and it uses the same top hat. It just basically raises it up like an inch or 2. So I may go through and print those parts and do that. Hey, Bexy Beans, thank you for the resubscribe at a tier 1. Still working? Oh my God. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. So we're at 36.8 millimeters cubed per second on flow. We've increased the temp to 270. I'm not seeing any blips or errors yet. This is the Goliath hot end, and as we know, it's got a nichrome heating element that's wrapped around a long shaft, so it's probably about that much of a melt zone. It does use a standard V6 nozzle, and we do have a Slice Engineering 0.5 vanadium nozzle in it. I do have a couple of Undertaker nozzles that are going to go into other things, so don't worry about that, zombie. Because remember, I still have a tube that I need to install on something, and I've got the Tucado. Now the Tucado uses like super volcano size heaters. And I'm going to have 2 of those, so 200 watt heaters, and a super volcano hardened steel nozzle. So yeah, that's going to be pretty nice. Thanks for the alert, Bexy. I know you'll probably have me on in the background as you're working, so thank you for that, and sorry that you're having to work so late. I know she's in con crunch, by the way. She's got a she's running a con, so she's trying to finish up what she needs to do to get the con going. And then right after that con's done, she's flying to Vancouver. And then like a day or two after she gets to Vancouver, British Columbia, she's flying with Maker Millwright to Chicago, Illinois. Then they're coming into Goshen for Murph. Craziness. And yes, stopping at midnight because you start your annual leave for what, Bexy? Bexy Bean's birthday. Everybody, please wish Bexy Beans a happy early birthday. I would sing, but I don't sing as well as you do, Bexy. But yes, happy birthday. Yeah, we do things when we're in love. I understand that. So happy birthday, Bexy Beans. So Zombie, like I said, our temp is at 270 and we're pushing 41 and a half millimeters cubed. 142 millimeters per second. Seeing no print defects. Of course, is a vase mode print, so one wall, 0.5 on the wall, 0.25 on the layer height, which is full nozzle wall thickness and half the thickness in the nozzle height. Hey, Mr. Wizix, welcome on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So yeah, we're just printing and pushing some plastic. I am trying to deal with a little bit of allergy stuff going on, or it could just be the fact that I've been running ABS today without a filter again, which don't do that, folks. Put a filter on your printers. Right now I did add some carbon filter to the back. Oh, is that exhaust fan running? Part cooling fan is running at 18%. The exhaust fan is off. Good. So I did add some carbon filtration to the back, and I've got some better stuff that's on the way. Once again, we're at 45 millimeters cubed. Still 270 on the hot end. Still not seeing any issues. So that Goliath is melting plastic very well. This is Polymaker Galaxy Black ABS. And honestly, I have no idea what the max flow rate is on a Goliath. That, and I probably should have kept the I think I've got some gray ABS or a lighter color ABS in here. Slides into the back row chat. Hey Phantom, how's it going? No need to slide into the back row. You can come right on down to the front. Come right on down to the front. So we're just watching this. We're doing a max flow rate test right now. And I set it to go from 20 to 50. And we're at just under 48 millimeters a second as it stands right now. And I moved the temp up from the baseline, the base profile of the base ABS profile for VzBot and Orca Slicer is 250. I did increase it up to 270. And yeah, we're at 48 millimeter per second flow, and I still am not seeing any skips or gaps. Heck yeah, this thing is kicking it. Hey, Patch Dragon, welcome on in. I will say that right now, this is about where I got maxed out with the Fadus NextG extruder with the extended nozzle and a 0.6. But once again, that increases the length of the nozzle, but it's the heater's not going all the way down to the nozzle. So on the Goliath, the nichrome wire is wrapped around the hot end for about that length, right? Where on the NextG extruder, the melt zone is like this long, but when you add the spacer, you get about that same amount that's now underneath the physically heated melt zone that it has to heat up. This actually has the heater wrapping around the full length of the melt zone. So you get better heat distribution down through it. And that just finished at 50 millimeters a second. I'm going to kick on the exhaust fan. It sucks some of that exhaust fume out and filter it. But I'll kind of, I don't know. The only way I can really show you is, see what I got. Looks like. Yeah, so this will be sort of indicative. So on the NextG, it's a ceramic core heater, but you're only heating this length. On the Goliath, you're in essence heating this length with a nozzle at the end. Where on the NextG, you're heating this length, and if you add the extension, your nozzle comes up here, but this whole gap is just transmitting heat through the heat break through that metal extension. So you have to kind of let it soak some for a little bit to fully heat up the metal down here that's not getting direct heat, right? So in essence, you're heated up here, but from here down to the nozzle, you're slowly cooling down, where on the Goliath, you're heating the full length, if that makes sense. You've got an active heater the full length of the hot end. Where on the NextG, when you add that extension, you haven't extended the heated element. You've just extended the metal that the plastic has to go through. So you almost need to kind of heat soak your nozzle a little bit to really let the heat permeate through the metal. Yeah, I haven't seen the tugboat guys pop in yet. You take a quick gander. Yep, not here yet. Okay. I was gonna tell the tugboat guys I did notice that I had a spare NEMA 14 or yeah NEMA 14 high temp stepper motor. So it's a little pancake motor for use with the Rook. So I got to get this in the mail out to them since I forgot to get that on the KB3D order. So we got to get this out to them. Let's see, what else? I'm just waiting for this to cool down a little bit, and then we'll, uh, I might try and run it a little bit hotter and see if we can get it up to maybe run from like 30 to, I don't know, 30 up to 60, or even set it up to go up to 70 and see if we can't break it. I mean, why not, right? That to get no patient or max. Yeah, maximal rate. If it'll start off at 30, go to 70. For my filaments, off at 250. I'm actually going to start at 265. For there and then 70 up. Notice we need to, we'll throw some more heat into it. Get that sliced. We sucked some of the VOCs out. The heated bed's still up at 80, so we're gonna have to let that cool off a little bit more. I don't want to chance damaging the bed, trying to pop it off early while it's still hot. It is ABS on a PI textured bed, but I don't want to push my luck. But yeah, the VzBot's been chugging away. It's been chewing on some filament, so that's good. I was showing everybody, Patch Dragon, that I created some nameplates for all the printers. Print them off on the bamboo. Did them one at a time, even though they're just a standard layer change. And I did them one at a time. That way, there was no issue in trying to set up the pockets that I was creating on each one. They're nice and centered. These are I set them to 8.1 by 8.1 by 3.6 deep. And for whatever reason, it still comes out to only 2mm deep pockets, but that's fine. These are 8x3 magnets. They wind up sitting a little proud, which works out perfect for what I'm doing, attaching them to the, attaching these to my shelves. So that if I move printers around, I can just take the nameplate with it and move it around. So now all the printers have name tags behind us. And when a printer is up here on the bench, and once we've named it, like in this case, this is Speedy Dragon, we can have it tagged right here for any glamour shots throughout the build. And then once we're done and we put it on the line, we'll take it and move it over there to the line. So here's a question for you all. Right now we have a Ender XY. I've printed the parts to do a triple lead screw mod on it in order to get the Ender XY to a consistent and stable print capability. So my question to you all is, do we spend the time doing the triple lead screw to it using the Additiva kit, or do we go ahead and tear it all the way back down and rebuild it as the Ender Next G, which is another Core XY derivative that folks have been asking me. Quite honestly, I have no problem doing the triple lead screw to see if that fixes the Additiva issue with the base kit, and then still tearing it back down and doing the Ender NG build, because one, I've got plenty of filament, two, it's content, and three, well, it's an Ender. Like I said, I have all the parts, and I have probably 3/4 of another frame cut for the full frame build of the 0G Merc 1 behind me. Trinity. What is the Trinity? And is that available? Like, where would I find Trinity, Mr. Wizix? Is it on printables? Is it GitHub project? Where would I find information on Trinity? Printables. Nice. Go ahead and take a quick gander at that. So Trinity. Okay. So we're fine-tuning Trinity for the Ender 3 and welcome your input to shape this future. So it's kind of a beta. You're on your own. Okay. Trinity for hassle-free installation. We're aiming for speeds up to 500 millimeters per second and acceleration up to 20 with an open 2020 frame. That's going to be walking a lot with good print qualities. Okay, you must be swapping out the Ender hot end, reality hot end. It'll include a triple Z-axis setup and Voron Trident style movement with the same belt spacing built on the Ender 3 platform. Trinity offers good speed. Plans include producing built-in enclosure for expanded capabilities and ability. Okay. They've got the step file, which is always nice. Bill of materials, Discord, EMS mounts, VzTech. Okay. Already got a few remixes going. Converted, so there was this. side bracing. Any monolith gantry mod. Going quad motor. So all-wheel drive, nice. So yeah, with having the printed parts on the outside there, it makes it real hard to do. Makes it hard to do panels unless you cut panels around the plastic, which is never good. Too many things to be left unsealed. This kind of look. Yeah. Um, Kind of giving me a vibe of the Rook 2020 there, because there is a Rook 2020 size to an Ender, right? Which is once again the same type of thing that a Bugaboo is, but the Bugaboo is using rods. So, I get you with the rods. My Bugaboo's not that loud, but then again, I'm not running it fast. I run it low, but it's not a triple independent lead screw for the Z either. It's triple Z, but it's single motor belted triple Z lead screw. So it's still a rock solid bed once you get it flat and level. Um, so yeah, not bad. I mean, this is using triple lead screw and um, linear rails, and I think I would have all the linear rails off of the Ender XY. Um, that's doable. And then the Ender NG. There we go. Ender 3 NG, which is a Core XY. Yeah, this is using the linear rods. And it looks like we've got a single Z motor that's driving a belted Z system for a single Z motor running a belted Z. So once again, this is very reminiscent of the Bugaboo build without having the cross brace in the front and the ability to slap panels on it. So that could be interesting as well. I know people have been asking me about the Ender 3 NG. I think it was Timor that was asking me about doing one of the things that I liked about this was the overall flexibility of running the different extruders and all the different style hot ends here. Different types of mounts already available, stuff like that. So here you're putting panels on the side, still have no like top hat. I think there is an I'll say an aftermarket or a mod for a top hat. I do kind of like this where the electronics are moved to the back panel. I do kind of like this little setup here. But like you said, once again, it's rods versus rails. This might be a good thing where I do the triple lead screw to the Ender XY, the Additiva Ender XY. I do the triple lead screw mod to that, and then potentially break that down and do a Trinity out of that setup, right? Because I've got all linear rails on the Ender XY, and then potentially take the Bugaboo back apart and build it as a Trinity. Just saying. And they're both beta, right? They're both still in developed. It looks like the Ender, especially with, what was that, 54 remixes, has a lot of things that will be compatible with it. And that comes from most likely just being out there for a little bit longer. And look, there's the Trinity. I think the Trinity, though, being linear rails, would probably have a little more extensibility to it and mods that are already, you know, I'll say 90% done from other builds, right? So yeah, I mean, there's options there. There's definitely options there. Definitely options on both of these. There's an XG linear rod mod, or linear rail mod. Already got linear rods. Yeah, so options. Right? There's definitely options. I think this is cooled down close enough that we can pop these open. Once again, I'm going to reprint the spacers, and that will allow me to I mean, looking at this, once again, it's a Galaxy Black. Probably would have looked better in a gray to try and see. I'm going to try and get some obtuse light there. But the layer lines came out. I'm starting to see a little difference in the color right here. Kind of looks like maybe layer adhesion wise. I mean, that's still pretty good layer adhesion, but kind of hard to say or see, but you can still, like even along the top edge back here, you can see where we're starting to get a little bit of a, like some BFAs almost. And I think it's just where I bet you if I throw some additional temp at that, those would go away. Basically what I'm trying to say. So if I throw some more heat at that, those should go away. Let me clean off this build plate and we'll get ready and start another print. And I think from looking at this, I might be a little bit too low on my first layer still. To find out what I did with my little bamboo round scraper. That'll help get this off. Give me a second here. I have a feeling it fell down here underneath the bench. Things that fell underneath the bench. Found my pull weight. Sorry about this, folks. Oh, doesn't look like it's down there. So somewhere, I seem to have lost my little scraper. I guess I'm going to have to print another one. Just need to get the dirt off of this. Do this on screen. Yeah, I think I have my Z set pretty good with PLA, but I'm still trying to dial it in with the with the ABS. I think I still need to raise it up a little bit more because it's kind of embedding on the PEI a bit. I do plan on adding beacon to this. So I need to probably order a new one. I've got a Rev E still here, but that one does not have the accelerometer on it, and I like the fact of having the accelerometer on it because it's just a little bit nicer to be able to do automated input shaper and stuff. Right now I've done some initial manual input shaper, but I've been kind of spoiled with having like SB2209 boards and stuff on all of my Vorons, or an EBB board so that I can run CAN bus. And while it would be nice to put a CAN bus board on here, you run into a spacing issue. With the way the board would mount on the back of the extruder motor, there's not enough space to get some of the wires put in. With where the motor sits and the CPAP hose, you'll run into some collisions that will affect some. So here we don't have anything that build platter magnet. And once again, I'm going to raise this up just a smidge. And I'm going to send another flow test over to it. And get our doors closed so we get our chamber heated back up. And like I said, all I want to do is just try and test out the Goliath. This is one pushing plastic, so we're just kind of breaking in the motion system. That's another reason why I'm not trying to go way super fast. Is I'm trying to break in the actual motion system a little bit and get it to just get some time on the printer. Once you get a little bit of time on the printer, the belts are going to loosen up a little bit. You can retension them and you can really start going in and playing around with things. But the simple fact that I had this going and all right, grabbing hold of both sides here. And I am really pulling pretty good layer adhesion. Once again, we're doing 0.5 layer width and 0.25 layer height. And if I could get this to show, probably not going to. Down at this area is where I cranked the heat up on it, and it started getting a lot smoother. So down here, it's a little rough. Actually, right here in this band, it was rough. I souped up the heat, and that helped a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the layer adhesion is awesome in this. This ran up to 50 millimeters a second. I just tried to set it up again to go start at 30 and go up to 60. So far I'm quite impressed. Once again, this is standard Polymaker Galaxy ABS, not a carbon fiber or any other filled material. This is just Galaxy ABS. So yeah, Zombie, if you're still here, first impressions of the Goliath air cooled, thumbs up. Back 2 thumbs up. Water cool it and you'll probably get even better. And there is a water cooled version of the Goliath, and there is CNC aluminum fan mounts for the 5160s, as well as mounts for water cooling of the 5160s. So if you wanted to water cool a Goliath, you could literally go and water cool your 5160s as well, and keep everything pretty cool. So I think that would be pretty neat. What's everybody working on this evening? Phantom's sliding into the back row, so he sit back there and kind of chillax and quiet. Mr. Wizix obviously is working on some stuff. T Moore's thinking about upgrading his Ender 5 to a 0G Merc 1. And like I said, I would definitely do the Merc 1 mod again on my Ender 5 Plus. The Hydra I don't think it's needed as long as as long as you're not having issues with your bed, it's really not needed. If you do wind up having any issues with your bed, by all means, go with the Hydra. It's gonna do you perfectly well. So it's doing the first layer here at 120 millimeters a second. So, which is pretty neat because it's already at a 12.5 millimeter flow rate. Um, so yeah, once again, Saturday we're going to go and start working on Black Box. And then when we get back from Midwest Rep Festival, we've got the Mellow build to work on. We'll have a Rook 2020 build to work on. We'll have, what else will we have to work on? Probably towards the end of summer. We're going to have a VCore 4 300 coming in. We're going to have a VCore 4 300 with panels and the hybrid motors. So it'll be the standard Core XY with the 2 motors in the back, and then have the additional 2 motors in the back that are facing up, and they're going to provide additional excuse me, additional torque and power to the y-axis, because the x-axis is only having to move the tool head, right? The y-axis is having to move the X gantry and the tool. So that's why adding the additional motors just for the y-axis works out pretty well. In the case of the VzBot, this is an all-wheel drive, so we've got 2 motors running each of the belts. You get all the torque and benefits, but I'm gonna have to do some research to figure out what's the true difference in torque output between an all-wheel drive like this and the hybrid setup that VCore is bring. The nice thing about the VCore is it's, you can buy it and do a standard Core XY setup. Then you can buy the hybrid upgrade, which is a $100 upgrade. It adds the 2 motors, gives you new belts because you'll run new belts. And then you can also do an IDEX up. Now you're running IDEX. That's just another upgrade. So all the stuff for another carriage, tool path, and belts. So that'll be cool. So once again, we're sitting here at 270 now. So the first layer was done at 265, then we went up to 270, and we're at 33 millimeters cubed per second right now. And it won't make a difference, but just because I want to get this thing rocking, I am going to go ahead and just up it to 290 to start with, so I don't have to worry about trying to look and up it later. But we are going to be looking at, I set this to go from 30 to 60. Once again, 60 millimeters cubed per second. So half a millimeter wide, quarter of a millimeter thick per layer. And we're already running at like 117 millimeters to get this flow rate going. But yeah, so I think we've got some pretty good content so far in the year. We're doing AMS prints. We've built the ERC for V2. I still need to go over and work on tuning it. I may just build a second one off stream because I've got the parts to do at least 2 more in Rage Rabbit Carrot Feeder V2s. I'll get those built and we'll work on tuning one of them up here because I know people are clamoring for the follow-on videos on YouTube for tuning them. The MMU3 we got going on the Crusoe Mark IV, and we've had very few issues with it. We've had some feed issues, but I think that's more of just the bug tubes being long enough that it's wrapping around the spool and causing a little bit of extra friction. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Bamboo Lab. I know K2 Kevin likes the flat build plate, but I kind of like having a little bit of texture of the textured PEI sheet. And once again, even with a 0.4 nozzle, I'm getting really good QR codes out of it. QR codes are working. So very nice setup here. And I'm going to wind up having close to 1,000 of these by the time I get to Midwest. So I've got a few of the, I'll say the poker chip sleeves set up. And now I'm filling up one of the travelers. So, yep, we'll be ready to go to the show and getting everything set up. So, probably have most of these done for the year through Murph and Earth. Just getting all these done ahead of time. So, which will be nice because we're also got to work on the droid builds and we got to get that going again. I need to reprint some parts for the droid for Dio to redo the head portion because I went ahead and got the better servos because his head's a little floppy at the moment. So we got the stronger servos for him, and then we've got all the parts that we need to continue to work on or actually build Chopper. So we got to work on getting that done before 3D Printtopia as well. So several builds, several projects that we have coming up on the stream through the end of the year. So I think we're going to be able to stay pretty busy between now and then. Other than the content I've already talked about, is there any content that everyone's looking for? So I'd really like to bring some content that you guys are interested in. If it's more builds, then we just continue doing builds. If there's adjacent style of projects, like you want to see the work I do on the cosplay armor, which is pretty much all printed, or at least it's printed enough that I can put together the majority of it, figure out what I failed to print, because I'm sure there's something I failed to print. We're going to go through and do the finishing on that. That may be some separately filmed content because it'll be out in the garage for the most part, or the shed, having to do a lot of sanding and either the plan is potentially doing resin, UV cured resin, doing some light coats of resin, UV cure it, sand it, and try and get layer lines out that way. I've seen some techniques of using the Bondo glazing putty and some EVA foam wedges to really be able to get in there and apply very thin coat of Bondo putty across an entire print. Um, I mean, there's different options and techniques we can use to get rid of some of the layer lines and get some really good paint jobs out of them. And I'm really liking some of the newer stuff that's coming out from Galactic Armory, like the T60 Power Armor set, a lot of the Helldiver sets. I know a lot of people are going to be doing Helldiver this year, and the Fallout T60 Power Armor. Got about 18% of the CPAP part cooling fan going. Once again, it's pulling the air from the inside the chamber through the muffler and then through the tube and blowing down. The 18% isn't that much, and I have already power eliminated the CPAP fan to 60% max because it is hella loud. And if I get that going and add in the 7035 or 7030 blower fans of the remote static cooling system, this thing's going to be hella crazy. And you would only use the RSCS system if you're printing PLA. You're not going to need it with ABS because you will warp and crack your ABS, nylon, polycarbonate, or any of that. So you'd only be doing that with your PLA prints. And again, so we're already up to 45 millimeters cubed per second. Again, we're kicking it out at 256 millimeters per second travel speed right now as we're printing. And we are printing hot. Like I said, I've got it set to 290, but if you're going to be printing faster, especially with ABS, you need to be able to get that material molten and consistently molten. That's why I'm getting some weird discoloration effects at the top as I was getting closer to the 50 millimeters a second on the last print. Once again, I had it set at 270, so going up another 20 degrees. I'm curious to see. I think we're going to get 260 millimeters cubed per second without skipping, but it's just going to come down to, what is the surface finish look on the print itself. Not sure if I can get some downward light. Yeah, probably not going to show too much. So one of the things that you got to watch out for when you're looking at max flow rate, it's how much heat can you put into the material and how fast can you do it to get it to a molten state. But also, what can your extruder do? Now I'm not sure. We're pushing 58 millimeters a second, and I'm going to bring you guys in a little closer and see if you can watch the gearing on the extruder. We hide that and see if you can see how quickly that gear is moving. This extruder gear is pumping. And so what you've got to do is you have to have a good grip on the filament. And I am seeing some artifacting now. So yeah, about 50 millimeters a second, and we're starting to get a bunch of stringing and crap. So I think we just found the theoretical max is about 50 millimeters a second for the combo that we got. I think it can still push filament, but it doesn't matter if we can still push it that fast. If we're getting crappy print, then we're done. So I'm going to say that we topped out ABS 290. ABS at 290 and around 50 millimeters per second, 50 millimeters cubed per second. And then we started getting some print artifacts. You can see there our corners started getting bad shapes to them. They were falling in on each other. So that's basically, it was pulling that material as it was coming around the corner. So our corners were starting to get bad. So yeah, about 50 millimeters per second, 50 millimeters cubed per second, standard Goliath, ABS 290. So I'm going to call that a win. I mean, who's really going to be running their extruder at 50 millimeters a second all the time? You know? You know, I don't think too many people are going to do that. So once again, I'm going to try and do a print with the basic stock settings. So clear out this project and clear out all of the changes that I've made. To this particular profile. Stuff. Speed. We're going to go back to the. And once again, standard Orca slicer base profile for this with ABS. And let's run a I was going to say I want to do an Orca cube, but that's one of their basic primitives, right? There we go. Orca cube. We will do a basic Orca cube and see if we can screw the things in. Once again, we're doing it in ABS. Or do you guys want to do a benchy? Let's actually crank out a bench. Normally don't do a 3D benchy. Do a 3D benchy. Hey, IQ Workshop, welcome on in. Rating with a party of 14. Holy cow. Holy cow. Let me jump over here real fast. Welcome on in, everybody from IDQ Workshop. My name is Digital Dragon. I am a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. You might ask what that is. Well, it means we do everything from printer unboxings and minor modifications. So things like our Bamboo Labs X1Cs. There's a Prusa Mark IV down here that you kind of can't see because of the main printer that's up on the bench right now. That we've added an MMU to some full-up printer builds like the Annex Engineering K3, some Voron Tridents, and 2.4s. Prototyping, such as the still under beta, full frame 0G Mercury 1.1 with Hydra full enclosure build, to the latest machine that we have up here on the workbench. Sorry. Which is our VzBot 235 kit from Mellow 3D. We just got this finished and we've just been doing some testing on it. We are fully enclosed at this point and we've been running some ABS through it today. So it's chewing on ABS just fine. So welcome on in, Raiders. IQ Workshop, what were you guys working on today on your stream? How was your stream today? Hey, Vex667, welcome on in. Habitus, welcome in. You don't like this guy? Let's raid somebody else. Really, Habitus? Serious printer envy right now? Well, if it helps, right? If it helps, I'll switch over to, or not, this is a good scene. So what you really can't see because of the 235 in the way, we have an Ender XY all the way over here in the corner that we're going to bring out. It doesn't print very well. The Additiva Ender XY upgrade, or the kit, it has like almost a front loaded cantilevered bed style. Really needs to be a triple lead screw, so we have all the printed parts to do that. We've got our LDO 300 size Voron 2.4 down here. We have our black box 5-head tool changer sitting over here that's going to be back on the bench Saturday, and we'll stay on the bench until we're fully done. We're in commissioning phase of this, so making it move. It has homed under its own power. There's our Mark IV with a MMU3 unit on it. Been printing out some maker coins. I probably need to just be done with it and make it a full plate by now. I think I've validated that my maker coins are coming out well now. QR code should work to bring you to the Twitch channel. And downstairs, we've got another Voron 2.4 that was a build for one of my channel members, Chewy. He paid for the parts. I built it. He just didn't have the time. So I'm going to bring that one to him at Murph. I've got two Enderwire builds. We've got a Trident 350 with an ERCFA V2 on it. We've got a Prusa Mini, a Ender 5 Plus converted to a 0G Mercury 1 with a Hydra bed. So 370 by 370 by 420 build volume. That's what I keep doing all my helmets on. A Rook 2020, a Rook Mark 1, and a Bugaboo 210. So yeah, we've got a bit over here. We like to build printers, if you didn't know that. So you work on 3D printing, laser cutting, CNC. All right. And what you're seeing is I need to add a little bit more height to the spacers to raise this up so I can tilt the screen down just a tad bit more, another degree or two to clear the doors. So, but we were doing a speed test, and believe it or not, when we hit this failure, max flow rate, we had a max flow rate of 50 cubic millimeters per second, 0.5 layer width, 0.25 layer height, going through an air-cooled Goliath hot end. And a 0.5 SliceWorks vanadium nozzle. So we're just playing around and putting some print time and running some filament through this printer because pretty soon it's going to go on the line behind me. Like I said, so Saturday we're going to have the black box up here, and the black box will stay on the bench until we go to Murph, just because I'm going to have to fill it up with water because it is water-cooled tool heads. So I'm going to have to fill it up with water, and I don't want to move it after I do that. I'm going to have to drain the water when I pack it up for Midwest. So we're going to keep it on the bench until we have to move it. I kind of almost feel like the right side of this might be a little bit higher than the left side. Which would be another reason to get a beacon probe. So we can get it to auto adjust. That and the build plate's still a little warm, so the print will come off if I let it cool down fully. But I'm impatient. So laser cutting CNC. Tonight you were working on the digital ID badge. You're doing a production run on your scratch built pick and place machine. Very nice. Very nice. Now I know there was a pick and place machine that has been at Midwest Rep Rap Festival for a couple of years now. Are you in any way related with them, or is your pick and place based on their design, or is this a wholly new design that you've been building? You like to scratch build machines, and we'll be building a 2.4 very soon. Nice. And are you going to build it from, starting with like an LDO kit, or are you going to full self-source your build? This is why I hate VzBot. Oh yeah, and I think this front corner probably a little too high still. But once again, I adjusted the bed and the height based on PLA. So what I need to do, and I've forgotten to do it, is heat everything up, let it soak for a short bit, and then do a bed screws adjust at ABS temps. Because that will bring this in. Because what's happening is I adjusted the bed, I did bed screws adjust and everything, and adjusted the bed at PLA temp or cold. I think I did cold and then just manually adjusted for PLA. And now I'm printing at ABS temp. And ABS temps, the bed is going to swell and act differently than it would under PLA temp. So that will be something that I need to do. That way I have to stop scraping everything. So yeah, my 2.4 here, Fade Dragon, that one was fully self-sourced. I had won the parts. They were from Printed Forward. Tugboat, how's it going? If I can ask everybody that rated in from IQ Works, if you could, down below the screen, if you can double click on my icon, that will bring you fully into my stream for the metrics. And that way I get credit for you all being here. Just trying to keep my metrics going up. Eventually I'm going to try and do a partner push probably sometime next year. But we're starting to get into this stuff. How's it going, Tugboat? Welcome on in. So Tugboat, I found something I need to send to you. And I got to look at today the screen that I'm using on my Rook that I had at the show for Clipper screen is a Big Tree Tech TFT 4.3. So it's the 4-inch touch display DSI. Means you will have to use a Pi for it, but that way you can keep the cable kind of out of the way and not have to be running, you know, like a big HDMI cable hanging out the side, or go with some expensive 90-degree PC cable adapters. Okay. So yeah, I will get this in the mail to you. We won't need it immediately, but you know, as soon as you get the parts from KB3D Chris, let me know and we can get started. Potentially ahead of Midwest Rep Rock Festival. But I'll get this in the mail to you hopefully tomorrow. If I can get it packaged up tonight, Mrs. Dragon can run it down to the mailbox tomorrow. So yeah, let me bring this up to 265, bed up to 105. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this soak a little bit. I'll clean off the nozzle because it's going to ooze. So I'll let it ooze while it heats up. And then I'll reach in there with a pair of pliers and just clean it off. Hey, Westery, how you doing? And then we're going to pull out our trusty Chris's basement. Use this corner to check for your nozzle offset. And we're going to do a bed screws adjust, which will go to all 4 corners. And we'll adjust our knobs, our bed knobs, as needed to account for the flex of the bed. and then we'll start another print. So you can run it. You can run your Rook using Marlin. If you want to run it Clipper, you'll need a Pi or a Pi alternative. We got you covered. I got you. I'll have you covered on that one. So 2x4 2 gigs, 2x4 4 gigs. I may have stocked up a little bit at Micro Center over the weekend. Or, yeah, last week on Sunday. That's when we got Dragoon 2 here. Well, now we have a pair of X1Cs. So and they have been printing like crazy. Once again, right now I'm letting everything warm up. I'll reach in there and with a pair of pliers, since the hot end is going to be at 265, I'll clean off any ooze, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do a home, and we'll go around and do a bed screws adjust. Going to raid and run, not a problem. IQ Workshop, very good. You're in the UK, gotcha. Gotcha. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for bringing your community in here. I really do appreciate it, and would definitely like to have you pop in again. I will definitely give you a follow as well, so that I can see when you're on and streaming, because I'd like to come over and see what you're streaming. Thank you very much for being here. Yeah, gotta love them. The bamboos just work. I've had an issue here or there, but nothing crazy. You know, nothing like the Ender XY where I've got to go and print a bunch of mods and do a bunch of things and tinker to make it work, right? It just works. And that's the nice thing, is to have a printer sorry, that just works, that you can go and, hey, I need to print something, boom, go print it. That's what I like about most of my Vorons, is they're the exact same way. And since most of my Vorons are 300 size, and I just realized that my stock is like drooping down and falling off. That was kind of weird. If anything, that's the one thing I kind of don't like about this, is the way the sock goes on there. So I know we have to home all. And then I'm going to do a bed screws adjust. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring it up and bring it over each of the four corners. And then I'll be able to check for tightness. This is not moving right now, which means it's too close. So I'll move this counterclockwise to add tension to this spring corner. And so the issue is the sock is going on with the sock. I have to abort this. Okay, so that was the issue. I have to cool everything down. So the issue is, I think I have a slightly loose connection here, and the hot end fan keeps coming off. So the hot end actually got hot. It was at the right temperature, but the sock is like not staying where it should be. So I'm going to cool things down, and I'm going to try and, when it cooled off, I'm going to try and reset the sock so that I can do what I was getting ready to do, which was reset the bed height here. I'm going to keep the bed hot, might as well. Let it continue to heat up the chamber. I just need to cool off the hot end so that I can get in there and try and wiggle the sock back. So yeah, as I was saying earlier, we've got the black box build that's going to be back up here soon. A couple of things I'm going to do this. I do have CNC handles and the front braces coming in. So when those come in, just going to swap them out, undo the screws, swap them out. I've got some lights coming in that'll be 12 volt that I can connect up, and so I'll run some lights. And the RSCS fans are in, but they're not connected. I had to mount them because the panels are pre-drilled for the mounting holes. So it's either mount them or try and get some silicone plugs that I can plug up the 3mm holes in. So with the mounted, I'm going to switch the JST connectors to microfit 3s. And that way, when I run them to the back and plug them in, if I ever need to take the panels off to do maintenance, I can pull the panel off, undo the JST or the microfit 3 connection, and set the panel aside and work on the printer without having to worry about, fishing a cable all the way around to the back and stuff like that. And then what else? Once we get Black Box done and we head off to Midwest Rep Rap Festival, we've got the tugboat Rook 2020 build that we're going to be doing. So I'm going to be rebuilding a Rook 2020 with the KB3D logo. They'll be building theirs with their tugboat logo and their tugboat colors. And then we've got a Milo mini mill that we're going to put together. And we're going to have a Rat Rig V-Core 400, 300 size. I could have gotten the 4 or 5 or the 400 or 500 size. I just don't have a place to put another big printer. The 300 size is going to be pretty big as it is. But I've got a lot of 300 size printers. My 2 big printers are downstairs because they're too wide to fit on these tables. So, yeah. You have space for it? I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure that, and then if you try, the reason I would build a 500 is to take it to shows, and that means you got to lift it up and move it. I don't want to have to lift it up and move it, quite honestly. interesting how quickly a hot end cools down when you start blasting it with the cap. Okay. Now we're going to let out all that precious heat, but I need to get this sock back on the actual print head. Why is it? Um, yeah, it's almost like the entire sock deformed. Like for a printer with a hot end rated to like 350, running it at 290 should not cause the sock to deform. That appears to be what has happened, is that the sock has deformed. On in the back, the front I may have to see about getting some additional socks for these. This kind of all kinds of deformed here at the front. I have a feeling that as soon as I heat this back up, it's going to shift or fall down again. But we'll see. If it does, then we might be stuck for now until I get a new sock, because that sock is, like I said, kind of deformed. It's the way that the sock goes on. It doesn't really go on very cleanly. So let's get this up to, let's go up to 250. Let that warm up. The bed's been heating up for a while. The bed should be up at nice temp. So when we go to do our bed screws adjust, we'll have a good bed to work from. Yeah, because unfortunately the only thing I can think of is like putting a zip tie on it. But if you put a zip tie on it, I don't think zip ties are going to like being up at that high temp. I mean, we have zip ties in the printer, but they're not wrapped around a heating element. So I think it's one of the crimps. So I just need to basically cut off the ends and recrimp the wires, but it's a crimp issue. Already it almost looks like it's falling down in the front there. Get the tip of the nozzle worked off. We'll make sure that we're up and snug as we can make it. Do a home all, and then we'll run the bed screws adjust again. Screws adjust. Pretty loose now. Loosen this screw. Like that. We'll say adjusted. Go to the back. Same thing. Pretty high drag, so we'll need to go to the right to add tension to the spring to bring it down. Way too far. Good there, we'll say adjusted. And when you do this, you're going to have to do it a couple of times because every time you adjust one of the springs, it adjusts the entire bed. Right? So you do this a couple of times. I like to do this with a cold bed first. Then at the temp that I'm going to print at, in this case, it would have been, well, it started off with PLA. And so now that we're going to ABS, we need to redo it again with everything up at temp so that our bed's at the right wave for the heat and the nozzle's up to temp as well. And you should be getting to where you're getting very minor adjustments. And once you get to very minor adjustments, you're close enough. Doing it one-handed like this, it takes a little bit longer, but I have found that if I'm trying to do it two-handed, I can actually be applying pressure upwards on the bed and get a false reading, so to speak. Hey, Jedi Spidey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. We're going to say we're readjusting our bed screw. So I started printing ABS today, and dummy me forgot that I needed to readjust the bed. For the heat. Once you start getting these things close, sorry, I should probably have had this over here. There we go. As I'm going around and doing this, it's going to all of the positions. As long as you say adjusted on at least one position, you're going to keep going around all four corners, right? You can accept and move to the next corner, or you can say adjusted. And if I'm making a very minor adjustment, I mean a very minor adjustment, then I will say accept. If I'm having to make what I feel to be too big of an adjustment, like maybe an 1/8 turn, then I will say adjusted, which will force me to have to go around another time. Once you say accept on all four corners, that will be your new bed level. Why did Clipper just do a shutdown? Did an ADC out of range. Okay, so we're getting an ADC out of range error, and I have a feeling I know why. It is most likely our thermistor with this sagging stock issue that we're having. Is most likely the hot end thermistor that's giving us the error. Yeah, so you notice I just barely hit the thermistor wire and it came back. So I have a feeling that that was the thermistor wire issue. Good thing is we haven't lost much, so yeah. Going up. So we haven't lost much heat wise. How's it going, Jedi Spidey? Going pretty good. We've got our printer up and running and working. We've printed out a few things. I have printed out, we'll say we did run a print. This is ABS, a little wall print that we'll put up on the kitchen counter over by the coffee maker. So we have pushed plastic, both PLA and now ABS. We did a flow test, a max flow test, and we got it pushing ABS at 50 millimeters cubed per second through an air-cooled Goliath. Full nozzle width, so 0.5 millimeter wall width, and half nozzle width, so 0.25 layer heights. Yeah, we're going to do a benchy. I was trying to do a bed screws adjust. I think we're close enough now. We're going to slice the benchy and we're going to print the benchy. think we're close enough that we can get a benchy out, but we're going to run a benchy real fast. Okay, and of course, my macro is set to drop it down to 145 on the tool head. Once the tool head cools down a little bit, it will do its homing sequence and then warm itself back up again. The nice thing is the Goliath heats up pretty darn quickly. But as sliced, I think this says it's a 28-minute benchy. So we'll see how that rolls. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to get some more Goliath heat socks on. Figure out where I can get those, hopefully off of like Amazon, so I can get them in a little. But sorry. Once again, we're printing. She prints great. We've been printing some PLA stuff. We've been printing some ABS stuff. We've got her fully enclosed. As I continue to get some print time on Speedy Dragon, because once again, this is Speedy Dragon, right? As we get more, or after this stream, she's going to get moved over to the printer line up behind us, and we're going to put black box up here, because starting Saturday, all the streams are going to be black box focused until black box is up and printing. Simply because once I set her up here and we go to PID tune the hot ends, I have to get water into the water reservoir, and I don't want to have to take the water out constantly to move the printer. So it'll stay up here on the bench until we go to Midwest Rip Rap Festival, and I have to drain her then. But Tugboat, I think you just went on lurk. If you can hear me, or if you look at this VOD later on, if your stuff gets in and you want to start building the Rook 2020 ahead of time, we will go ahead and print the Rook 2020, or print. We will start building the Rook 2020 ahead of Midwest Rip Rap Fest. So we can start doing that ahead of time. Like I said, I'm just going to have to take my Rook apart, but that's an easy task to take my Rook apart to redo it. Yeah, because I know the big thing is waiting for the stuff from KB3 to get there. I have no shipment notification for the stuff from KB3D. I don't know if you guys got a shipment notification or how that worked. Gonna bring you guys in a little closer. Watch as this is going down. All right. I'll talk to Chris and see what the status is of that. So this is we're printing at 270 now, and if I remember right, this baseline profile has speeds up to 250 millimeters per second. It's probably not going to get there because of the size of a benchy. but as you can see, she's moving fairly fast. Try and keep this here. Okay, tugboat. I got shipment notification. It just came in tonight. It's going to you via UPS, and I'll send you the shipping information, but it should be there by Tuesday. And once again, folks, this benchy is going down with stock, the stock Orca Slicer VzBot 235 profile for a 0.5 millimeter nozzle. I think the camera I'm going to put on this comes in tomorrow. We'll try and get that on there so that we can maybe do some time lapse shots of some prints later on. And this is not at Speedboat Benchy settings. Like I said, this is just the standard Orca Slicer profile. So there's probably some more speed that we can get out of this. Sorry about that. I was trying to read the email real fast. You're out of it. Looks pretty nice and clean though. here is it's jerking around so much so that um, the silicone sock is starting to sag down again, which could have an issue. I think that's what may have been what caused um, our last flow rate print to have an issue, was the sock actually dropping down and connecting with the print. Um, so I looked up the UPS. Uh, I clicked on the UPS tracking number, and it said Tuesday, I think between like 1:15 and 5:15. Like I said, I'll send you that link so that you'll have the link with the UPS tracking number in it, so that you can track it. It looks like um, two of the NEMA 17 motors are coming with that, and one of them is being shipped separately. Not sure why. Other than he might have just not had all the stock there. So there's another one that's coming separately via USPS. I'll send you both of those. Yep. We got some pretty good overhangs going there. I'm just kind of mesmerized. You know, I got real quiet there all of a sudden. But just watching this thing print and how fast and clean it's printing is pretty nice. Curious now to probably print this. You know, go and find out about the actual speed benchy requirements and work on a slice. Kind of really see what we can put into this, see what we can get done. Because yeah, it's pretty speedy print. Looks like we're doing the smokestack. This is where we're probably going to have some cooling issue. Maybe not. We've got boat done. And we are at 18 minutes, 21 total. So let me bring that up on screen. Make that full display a little bit bigger. So we just did boat in 18 minutes, 2 seconds for the print. 21:42 overall. Now, mind you, that was probably a little bit lower because we already had the bed up to 10. So it had to actually cool the hot end down to 145 for my start macro and then heat it back up. That's the differentiation you have there. Go ahead right now and on the exhaust fan. Need to work on my end macro to actually exhaust out at the end. But yeah, 18-minute benchy. I think that's pretty darn good. Yeah, like I said, we'll let this cool down a little bit. Let this cool down a little bit, and then we'll pop it out and take a look at it. But yeah, I think maybe running it in PLA with the RSCS fans going and the CPAP maybe on full blast. We may be able to get that even lower. Yeah, we're gonna have some issues on the smokestack, but that was pretty fast for how fast we were pushing and in that small area. Yeah, while we're waiting for this to cool down, everybody, we are going to get ready to raid out. Does anybody have an idea for where they would like to raid out to this evening? It is, yeah, it is Thursday, so we should be doing community marble races at some point over at Big Jano's. Hi, Twitch. Why do you have to change the screen again without any notice? actually not that bad, but annoying. Okay, so yeah, Thursday night hangout, Murph modeling project, playing with his LED matrix panels, and the marble races will be happening over at Big Jano's. A lot of people are playing games tonight. Gang is doing some brick building. Stitch is doing some embroidery. Yeah, so I'm not sure if anybody has any ideas. Right now, looking at who all is online, I would say jump over to Big Jano. He's, like I said, he's one of the few that isn't playing a game right now. So, but I'll go ahead and down to 83. So I'll let it cool off a little bit more. Hey, KB3D Chris, how's it going? Welcome on in, my friend. Welcome on in. Yes, Chris is here. So, Chris, I just saw your shipment notification. So, awesome. Real fast. It looks like there's a single motor that's coming from a alternate location. Just want to make sure that we're tracking on that. Yeah, single motor. Okay, great. And I did realize that for whatever reason, I foobarred. And I know that we had talked, you had specifically asked me if the extruder was a bare extruder or one with a motor. And I said bare. And when I double checked, I realized we didn't have a Team of 14 on there. But don't worry, I've got one. I'm going to get this out in the mail tomorrow to them. So they'll have this. I'm also going to send them a Raspberry Pi so that they have a Raspberry Pi to keep moving or to get moving with Clipper on it. But we've been printing here with the VzBot. We were doing some flow testing, and we were able to get over 50 millimeters cubed per second in a max flow rate test at 290 with ABS. So not bad. We just ran a benchy, all right? We ran a benchy, ABS, 270, stock, Orca slicer settings for the VzBot with a 0.5 nozzle, okay? We're going to open it up and take a look at it. I'm just trying to let the bed cool down. But 18-minute, 2-second print time. Stock setting. Yeah, it is a Big Tree Tech TFT 43. Make sure it's got the DSI because that's the flat ribbon cable that you're going to connect it up to your Raspberry Pi with. Yeah, Chris, she's humming. The only thing I really need to do is I need to reprint the spacers at the feet. So there's little spacers that go between this nanotube gray printed part and the rubber feet. I need to print it about another millimeter taller and then mount the feet back again, because you're going to see right here my doors are barely catching. There's a if it didn't have this corner here and it was chamfered all the way around, the door would clear. But because it's not chamfered all the way around, the door catches. So I need to be able to rotate this down some, but it's sitting on the deck right now, right? So if I raise this up about another millimeter, this should be able to rotate down enough that I can open the door. But hey, I've got a printer. I can print new spacers like on the printer for itself. So right now I can flex the door and get it out of the way. Yeah, when you set the bed screws adjust and get the, whew, okay, yeah, ABS fumes. When you set bed screws adjust right, it comes out really well. So it's going to be hard to make out, but you can see all of the letters there. Once again, poor choice of filament. I shouldn't have used black. We've got some cooling issues right here. Right, but that's running ABS hot. I could have dropped it down. So we have some cooling issues there. All in all, the overhangs at the doors look really good. The overhang at the front window, oops, looks really good as well. You can see it does sag a bit, but for an 18-minute ABS benchy, I mean, even the stack's got some heat issues to it. But once again, kicking this at as fast as we were, I mean, that's doable. That's passable. As hot and as fast as we were running it, I mean, that's plastic boat. That is plastic boat. It's better than some of them I've seen that are pretty melty mess. So, yeah, duly impressed. Duly impressed. Is my screen really big? This one? This one I think is a 5-inch. It's whatever came with the kit. I believe this is a 5-inch. Not a Big Tree Tech. It's a Mellow screen. It's a Mellow 5-inch. No, for the Rook. The Rook is a 4.3. I did measure it. It's the 4.3. So, yeah. So the Rook screen is. So this is the Big Tree Tech Pi TFT 4.3 V21. So it shouldn't be really big. Big Tree Tech. I guess look at the Pi TFT 4.3. Yeah, it may look big on Amazon. That's true. It may look big on Amazon, but it looks big. It really isn't. There's a 4, there's a 5, and then a 7. The 7 is going to be way too much. Um, the 4 should work perfectly fine. The 5 would probably work well as yeah, good as well. In the right lighting, you look 6'5". Yeah, right lighting, right angle, dark room. I will tell you that this FPC connector cable, this DSI cable, is not going to be long enough. You'll need a longer DSI cable. So I guess depending on how we mount them. But this probably most likely is not going to be. Look at the fourth picture though. Oh yeah, yeah. So once again, this is a common listing for a 4, a 5, or a 7. So that, yeah, trust me. This is the 4. This is the 4.5 display. So once again, finger for scale. Yeah, that is like clicking on an iPad. I'll give you that or something. But the screen is made so that you can mount a Pi on the back. So yeah, that's funny because if that was a 7-inch display, there's no way that the Pi would be that close to both edges. Because, like I said, this is the Pi 421, right? Or the Pi 4.3 version 2.1. So yeah, you want a version or a Pi 4.3. Excuse me, a Pi TFT 4.3, and that's the screen that I use on my Vorons. And I'm pretty sure that I used the 4 and not the 5 on the Rook. If I did use a 5 on the Rook, I want you to use the 4.3 on the Rook. Okay? So, yeah. And I've got one of these 7-inch displays here on the 0G Mercury 1 downstairs. And yeah, it's like this. It looks yeah, so I don't have an easy way. This is a 5-inch display, and right, so that's a 5-inch display. The one down here on the black box, that's a 7-inch panel do. It's a lot bigger. Trust me, it is huge. So 4.3 will work perfectly fine. The cable extender, you can normally go and get a Raspberry Pi DSI. So Raspberry Pi DSI. Really, you're going to make me Raspberry Pi DSI cable. right here. This 6-pack of cable, that's normally what I buy, because you might need something long like this that comes from the front all the way to the back, middle of a printer, or you may need like the middle or the shorter one depending on where you put things at. But I normally buy these and keep them as extras. Because the DSI and CSI cables, if I remember right, they're the same. Now the difference is the ones on a Raspberry Pi Zero, they're larger on the screen end and shorter and less on the or smaller on the other side. But yeah, just get one of these cable packs and you'll be good. Cool. Okay, so, folks, so with that, and now that we've put in some time, I hope he hasn't started marble race. Nope, but he might be getting ready. So we're going to go ahead and get a raid started over to Big Jano. Please follow me with the raid. Thank you all for being here. We've got this printer printing now. It's going to go over on the line behind me, and we'll be bringing Black Box up here on Saturday. Black Box is going to stay up here until Murph. If I need to, I'll just push it to the side and we'll build Rook 2020 right in front of it. Right? So thanks, Tugboat. And next week or the week after, we'll try and start building a Rook 2020 with you guys. Thanks, everybody. We'll have a good night. We'll see you on Saturday. Bye now. Let's race. Exactly. Let's race.